Alright, what's going on today, YouTube? It's me, Shotgun Gun Gameplays, and I figured today, since it's almost the 9-year anniversary of my YouTube channel, I figured I'd finally tell y'all guys about myself and things I've been through in the past and all that good stuff. This is basically just like me introducing myself personally, not as Shutting Gun Gameplays, but as who I am to you guys. So, just as a little disclaimer, if you don't like depressing things, if you don't like hearing sad stories, um, then I would click off this video. But if you guys are here for the long ride, let me start off by saying hello. My name is Austin. It is so very good to finally meet all 800 of you guys. Welcome. I don't know why I just gave you all a handshake, but yeah, my name is Austin. I was born December 10th, 2001. My first memory that I have, I was 3 years old, and we used to live in Granbury. I had went to our friend Blake and Cammie's house. They were two kids that me and my brothers and my sister used to hang out with all the time. And they had a dog named Soldier in their front yard. It was a pit bull who was a rescued fighting dog. He was missing his right ear. His right eye was like literally blind. Like it was just a gray eyeball. And pretty much, I don't know why I got it in my head that that was our old dog Yipes who had ran away. Their colors were very similar. I was a kid. I didn't know any better. I had went up to the dog, and before I can even do anything, the dog shoulder tackled me and latched onto my face. And the dog just absolutely brutalized me. From what I know and what I've been told, the attack lasted 10 whole minutes, and I don't know if you guys can tell, I've got a scar underneath my eye right here. I've got a scar on the side of my nose. My chin was split open. I have a hole right here that my beard is covering, but it's a scar where the dog's tooth had went underneath my jawbone and was sliding around from him like biting down and shaking. I have scars on my chest, all right here, where the dog had grabbed me like this and pulled. The scar starts from here and goes along my rib. The dog's tooth had punctured inside the space of my ribs, and when it shook, it slid the tooth along my rib bone and gashed me open, and I was bleeding profusively. Let's just say that. I remember Blake ripping the dog off of me, and the dog was like biting his forearm. Now, the crazy thing is that like I wasn't watching it from the perspective of like me lying on the ground and like watching it happen. It was the weirdest thing ever. It was a top down experience. So it was kind of like I was floating in the sky and I could like see from a bird's eye view of what was happening. So he pulled the dog off of me and the dog latched onto his forearm and was just biting his forearm. Just I don't know why they kept this dog, honestly. I really don't. The dog was obviously hostile. The dog was obviously a very mean dog. He pulls the dog off of him and he runs into his house and he screams, "We had a horrible accident out here." Obviously, he had dragged me away from like the dog's chain distance. And I remember him running into the house and saying, "We have a serious problem out here. This kid is bleeding everywhere." And their dad and their mom run outside, and I remember the dad picking me up and holding me in his arms and saying, this is not good. We have to do something to slow it down." So they pull me into the house, and I remember uh, it's it's really hard because it was kind of like I was like everything would go black, and then I would fade back in for a couple seconds, and then it would go black, and then it would fade back in for a couple seconds. I remember him picking me up. I faded away. I like came to in their house, and he was pouring what I assume would be alcohol or something on my face and chest. I remember it stinging really bad, and then I remember blacking out again. I remember re-waking up, and I was in front of my house, and they were like banging on the door like, you have to come out here and help him, please, he's not doing good, so our dog attacked him. And my mom opens up the door and she immediately starts crying. Like, I'm drenched in blood. That's the only way that I can explain it. I was just absolutely drenched in blood. My mom grabs me and she wraps me up in a towel, and she's like pressing it hard on me, like really, really hard. And like my mom's crying and she's rocking me back and forth. She was like, "You're gonna be okay as long as you stay awake. Just don't leave me, please." And then I remember blacking out, and I don't really know from there. I kind of just woke up in the hospital, and like I remember my face being really, really swollen. Like my face was 3 times its normal size. And like I woke up in the hospital, and the lady tells me, just make sure you don't move too much. You have a lot of stitches in you. We're just trying to make sure that those don't open. And then I faded back into black, and like it's really blurry because it's such an early memory. The only thing that I can really remember is the attack happening itself, and then I was at our house after the hospital, like after I'd came home from the hospital, and I remember my mom taking pictures of me. Like I remember the flash of the camera. That's really all I can remember. But yeah, that's my very first memory is being attacked by a pit bull when I was 3 years old. Like I said, this is going to be a very depressing video. It's going to be very sad. So if you guys aren't ready for this next part, because this is where it gets really bad, I would click off the video. That opening story was just like I just said, an opener. So when I was 7 years old, I remember waking up at around, I think, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I remember my sister would always stay at my aunt's house. For some reason, I didn't know at the time, but my sister would always stay at my aunt's house, and she would always want to be away from home. Well, one night at around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, my dad wakes me and my brother up, and he was like, "Hey, you guys, I need y'all to come into the living room." And like he didn't seem like himself at all. He did not. It was weird. It was like he was a completely different person. He was like, "I need y'all to come into the living room, and we need to have a serious talk." And me and my brother Jason had gone into the living room, and the reason why my dad had only called me and my brother Jason into the living room was because, for one, like I said, my sister wasn't there, and um, my sister and my oldest brother aren't his biological children. They are my half brother and sister, and then my brother Jason is my full-blooded brother. But he takes me and my brother into the living room, and we sit down, and like we're trying to wake up and whatnot. And my dad was like, "Are you guys paying attention? Because I really need you to listen to what I'm about to tell you guys." And he proceeded to put his hands on both of our shoulders, and he said, "I just want y'all to know that I'm not doing this on purpose, but it needs to happen." And he said, "I'm not going to see you guys for a very, very long time." And me and my brother just started crying. We were like, "What are you talking about? Where are you going? Why are you leaving us?" And we had fallen back to sleep, and around that time, at around maybe 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, we had gotten re-woken up, and we had to pack our things, me and my brother. We packed our things, and we drove to my grandma's house. And I didn't understand what was going on at the time, but CPS had ended up getting involved, and we were uh, we were made to stay at my grandparents' house for 9 months. I'm sorry, y'all. It's not that it's hard to talk about. It's just I haven't talked about it in so long that it brings up old feelings. Really, is the best way I could say it. But me and my brother Jason ended up staying with my grandparents for 9 months, where the beatings were quite often and never missed. Me and my brother were beat very, very often by my grandfather. I would say bare minimum 4 or 5 times a week. And like, it wouldn't be like normal hitting. Like, he would punch us, he would kick us, he would slap us. Uh, he smacked me in the face with a belt buckle and chopped my lip open. Um, it wasn't easy being there in the slightest. I'm not going to go into all the details about what had happened over there, but it wasn't good, and no kid should have ever have had to gone through what me and my brother went through over at that house, because it was like these people who are supposed to love you and are supposed to care for you and nurture you and be like second parents, it seemed like they absolutely despised me and my brother. And I didn't find out the reason why. The reason doesn't make it okay, but we had later found out what my dad did, and my dad is one of the worst scourges that has ever walked this earth, and I'm glad that my dad is in prison. Um, we found out later that my dad was my half sister from the time she was 2 years old until the time she was 13. And basically, the first 8 to 9 years of my life were a fairy tale. It was a construct made by my father to hide what he had been doing for all those years. My dad was an awful human being, and I hate the fact that I come from him. I truly do. And it's not necessarily hate or resentment, but it's absolute fucking disgust. Absolute disgust. It makes me retch when I think about it. It makes my voice crack to know that I could come from such a horrible human being. But yeah, we finally got to go home after 9 months of being there. And as soon as we get back to my mom's house, she is dating a man named Jose, and he is a prolific alcoholic. Like, this man used to drink 20 or two 24 packs of Bud Light every single day of his life. Every single day. I don't even know how that's physically fucking possible, but this man was able to do it. Every single day he would drink two 24 packs, and he would cause fights with my mom and me and my brothers, and this went on for 10 years. We had sold the house that my dad got and moved into his sister's old trailer that she had given to him when she had moved, and this house was absolutely falling apart. There was holes in the floor, there was roaches, and we had moved the house to a place called Forgotten Lane, Alvarado, Texas. And this is a real place that you could look up. A lot of sinister shit happened in that house. Um, a little girl and her grandmother had died in that house before Jose's sister had moved in. And I don't want to sound crazy to you guys, but a lot of unexplained horrible shit would happen to me in that house. Like, you could hear like kids at night around like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. You could hear kids running through the hallways. Like, you can you'd be able to hear them like talk and like play hide and seek, and like you'd hear one of them say like, "I'm over here," like the little girl. And I used to have really bad sleep problems. I'm getting chills talking about this shit. Look at this. I don't know if you guys can see that, but uh, I used to get messed with by that house or whatever was in that house. It would torment me in my sleep. I would have horrible sleep paralysis. I would wake up with scratches and cuts on my body. I would be getting yanked out of bed, like not from like the sides, but like where the backboard is on both sides. I would get yanked off my bed this way, like off of the backboard. I would be yanked off my bed. Chairs would move. One time we were all playing pool in the living room together. Like we had a little pool table that they had left. So like we're all having a party and shit and we're playing pool or whatever just for fun. And like my stepdad like gets angry out of nowhere and like he starts yelling and cussing in Spanish, and it's just because he's a belligerent drunk asshole. He starts yelling and cussing and he puts his beer like in the middle of the pool table, and out of nowhere the beer bottle like lifted up and stayed for a couple seconds and then just flew into the goddamn wall and shattered. Like nobody was around the pool table. Like the pool table was in the back of the living room. We were on the couches sitting there listening to him scream and rant and fucking be a dick. And like the beer bottle lifted up off the table and like smashed into the fucking wall. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my fucking life. And it was one of the only times I've ever seen like something that wasn't us interact with something else, if that makes any sense. Like I was never a hardcore believer of spirits and shit until we moved into that house. But this whole process of him just being a drunk belligerent asshole and like weird happenings happening in the house happened for like 10 whole fucking years. We stayed with my stepdad for 10 whole years before we finally moved away from him. I had countless fights with him that I can't even begin to count. I didn't have a good male figure in my life ever, really. But I always saw my mom as my mom and my dad. She was always there for me. She taught me the things that I needed to know as a man that my dad couldn't teach me. And she taught me how to respect people and all that good stuff. But I ended up getting baptized and I got anointed with like the oil. And after that had happened, I really didn't have any more spiritual encounters ever. And that's not a farce. I'm not lying. Like after I'd gotten baptized and anointed with the oil, all the spiritual shit that was going on with me stopped. But moving on from that, around year 5 or 6 of us living with my stepdad, my sister and her boyfriend ended up moving in with us, and yeah, it was really cool. It was really nice being able to interact with my sister again after not seeing her for so fucking long, like so long, man. I hadn't seen my sister in like 5 or 6 years before they moved in with us. It was really nice to have them around, and my sister has always been very supportive of me. She's always had my back, and I've told her this before, but I kind of see her as my second mom if my mom wasn't around. Like that's the kind of support she gave me. Like she made me know, or she let me know that everything was gonna be okay, and like things that a mother's supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like she's always had my back, and I love my sister to death for that because she gave me kindness when nobody else would. And like I said, I just can't thank my sister enough for that, really. Um, she's been one of my best influences in my life. And yeah, I thank God every day for my sister. I really do. I'm really glad that she's here and that we get to interact and like talk again. But yeah, I'm just really thankful my sister's around. But anyways, after my sister and her boyfriend lived there for a while, my sister ends up getting pregnant with our first kid. And there was a lot of complications at birth. Um, I'm not going to go into details about it because that's her business. I'm not going to put that on the internet. Just know that there were a lot of complications at birth, and it's really hard for my sister and really all of us. But my nephew made it, and then she ended up having two more beautiful children. Amazing, man. It's so crazy that I'm an uncle to three. It's like after all that shit happened with my sister and my dad, like I never expected her to want kids, but she's the most amazing mother to those kids ever. Those kids love her to death. And she's a very good mom. It's really cool being an uncle. It really is. It's really badass to be an uncle. And like it's gonna get to the age where I'm gonna be able to start like taking him fishing and shit. It's gonna be real cool. Moving on from that, um, my full blooded brother around the age of 15 or 16, um, maybe a little younger than that, maybe even 14, my brother ended up picking up drugs and he became an addict. But my brother became addicted to drugs. He became very aggressive. He would steal from us to go get his drugs. Uh, he would sell, like, he would steal my PlayStation, like, he would sell it for like a dime bag. He sold my BB guns for drugs. He was homeless at one point, and like, uh, for about a month and 2 weeks, I had taken care of my brother because he was homeless. Um, I had given him clothes, like blankets. I would give him my dinner. That way he wouldn't go hungry. Seeing my brother in that state honestly opened my eyes, and I've always been the kind of person to learn things from the people around me. Um, I never ended up messing with hardcore drugs. I've never done anything that'll like change you forever and make you want to keep doing that. I use my brother as an example to stay away from those kinds of things. Um, I remember at one point my brother weighed 105 pounds, and this was when he was homeless. He weighed 105 pounds and he looked like Jack Skellington. Like, seriously, like, his cheeks were so sunken in. I could see every bone in his arm and his ribs. I would go over to where he would stay, and I would bring him food and clothes and blankets and all that kind of stuff. My brother had kept up this cycle for about 5 or 6 years, maybe a little less, but he finally got sober, and he's been clean for almost 3 or 4 years now. I'm pretty sure, and I'm so proud of my brother, man. Like, it's the weirdest thing to say, but it's like I have my brother back. Like, he just went away for a while, and he's finally back home. Yeah, my brother lives with me, and he's doing so well, man. He's doing so fucking well. Like, I'm so proud of my brother, man. Like, my brother did a complete 180, and that's all I can really say is I'm so proud of him, man. Around age 16, I had re-met up with a girl that I had known from my childhood. And like I said, I'm not going to give names just out of respect. But I had dated this girl for 4 or 5 years. She had moved in with me, and she was basically like my high school sweetheart. Like, I had known this chick forever. Like, literally from the time I was like a little bit after the pit bull attack, probably like from 4 until all the way up until we moved because of CPS. I came back and re-met up with her, and from, I believe, shit, from third grade all the way up until high school, like until after we graduated, like basically I knew her my entire fucking life. Um, it was the worst relationship I have ever been in. She cheated on me a lot more times than I was admitted to. Like she only ever admitted to cheating on me twice, but I know it had happened a lot more. I was a kid, so like when she cheated on me, I was 16 years old. Um, she had convinced me to get back with her, and I stupidly fell into that trap. And yeah, she ended up living with me for quite a while, about 3 years. And around that 3 year mark of living with me, I get a random call. It's from one of my best high school friends, man. I had known him from ninth all the way through 12th. Like, he calls me and he's like, hey, man, you might want to sit down for this. I was like, why? What's up? And, like, in my brain, I already knew what he was going to say because she had already did it in the past. I knew what was coming. Um, he was like, man, came over to a party last weekend and her and I had, and I kind of paused. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what'd you say? He was like, came over to the party that I had and she got drunk and we had. So I took my phone and I walked it into the bedroom. She had just gotten off of work and I was like, yo, repeat to me what you just said. I was like, and I want you to say it pretty loud for me if you don't mind. And I held the phone in front of her. It was on speaker, and he basically told her the exact same thing that he had told me, and her face went fucking ghost white. Ghost fucking white. Like, literally, she had seen the devil herself. She starts freaking out, begging me, pleading me. Oh no, I would never do that to you. It was him lying. We were both drunk, and all I did was sleep in his bed. Uh, she tried to make some bullshit ass excuses, and I kicked her out of the house. I kicked her out. I was like, you need to go to your fucking mom's house. We're not doing this shit again. One time is enough. I was like, you don't get another chance, ever. And she ended up moving out. Well, the fucked up part is around, I think, 2 or 3 years into our relationship, she had been living with me for about a year at this point, maybe a little longer. I find out she was pregnant, and I was excited, but also scared. I was 17 years old. I had no place having a kid that young, but every new dad is going to be excited. And she tells me that she's pregnant, but something told me it wasn't my kid. I don't know why. I had a feeling. I didn't believe it, but something in the back of my head, like, if you've been cheated on, you'll know what I'm talking about, but there's always a voice in the back of your head that makes you doubt it. And what I believed truly was my kid. And like, she told me she was pregnant, but she told me she was pregnant after she had already aborted the kid. But here I am now. I've got my own house. You guys don't know about it yet, but I bought my first car this last weekend. I got a 2024 Chevy Malibu. Um, and yeah, things are looking up. And I know that this was quite a depressing video, but if there's one thing that I can say through all of this bullshit and all the stuff that happens in this world, you have to keep a smile on your face, and you have to not let the past bother you. I learned that at a very, very young age that yes, the past happened, but you cannot dwell on the past ever. I always kept a smile on my face through all the hardships, everything I had ever went through, because I knew that one day it would get better. And it's exactly as I thought. Like, everything has gotten better. I reestablished a connection with my brother. I reestablished a connection with my sister, and I know her kids, and like those kids love me. And I have a new girlfriend that I've known for a very long time. I first met her when I was 13, and yeah, we have been in a relationship for 5 or 6 years now. Actually, technically longer than that, because we dated for quite a while. But yeah, I've had a relationship with my girlfriend Tori from 18 until now. So yeah, that would be a 6 year relationship. Um, I'd say the only thing that I haven't been able to reconcile is the relationship with my grandparents. Um, it's just like, after all that shit that happened, it's like, it's not that I don't want to have a relationship with them. It's just I'm scared to, and I need to get over it because they're not gonna live much longer. And my grandpa, who I thought would never ever do this, about 2 years ago, maybe three, asked me and my brother Jason if we could come over, and the whole family apologized for the shit that went down. Yeah, that's pretty much it, you guys. That's really everything that I can tell about me. Um, I have nothing left to say. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please be sure to leave me a like. Please be sure to leave me a sub. It's been me shouting on gameplays, and thank you guys so much for listening. Peace out.